Good evening, Sussex Squad Nation, Sussex Squad World. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Oh my God. I think this is the longest we have ever played the music because I couldn't get the mic to work.
It fell
We,
off.
s- my mic just fall off. And I was trying to figure out how do I screw it back on. Oh my God. So, wow, how's the everyone is doing?
Yeah, hello, Susie Q.
Especially,
Hello, Emma D. Blessings right back at you. Hello, avid
yes,
reader.
my co-hosts. Are they doing? They're doing good.
No, they're doing well. We're just getting started. So, folks are trickling in, but it has been a incredibly busy week.
Yes, it has been, and then also it's been really cold,
Has been very cold.
very cold,
Unrelentingly cold.
tons of ice,
Yes.
very dangerous. I actually could not make the appointment, my mom doctor's appointment with her because it was too icy.
Yeah, sometimes, though, you just got to be better to be safe, you know?
That's right. That's right. But as ever, it's just amazing. Love the name. And I think last week it was such a shock that, it just taking a time to settle in to realize, wow, our Duchess, it's not playing. She's literally not playing.
Yeah.
And it's also, for whatever the reason, I don't know what's going on in the Sussex Squad, but it seems like the content, the creators are just hitting another notch. From Claire Kane to there's some new Sussex Squads. I believe I heard Baron, my boy, my brother, promoting somebody. I think she's at 400. I didn't catch the name. But, Baron, which I don't understand. I mean, is this man is real? No, I really want to know. I think I need to do an investigation because the amount of content that he's been putting on daily, it's superhuman. I
It's
don't
just a
really get
lot of work.
it's not
It
even
is a
just
lot
it's not
of
like he even repeat it. And when he does, it just because he's trying to make a point and he will bring it back and he knows exactly where to. I think he's a robot. I think he's a superhuman. There is absolutely no way for someone, and he does all the work by himself.
What is that line? We have the tools, we have the technology. What is that?
Yes.
I don't even think he got
$6
all the
million man.
technologies like that. It's just like him and his computer and his chair. That's it.
Well, that's what you call passion. When you can make it happen regardless.
Well, he's beside his brilliance. He's a very brilliant man. He's been around and done some incredible thing, even though he doesn't talk about it. And well traveled, well read too.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yes. So how are you guys?
No, much of what we talked about, just incredibly busy. And then fighting a lot of northeastern weather. So it is like we had an ice storm not too long ago, and it was just been brutal outside.
Yeah,
So
we're envious of how your trip must have been, Black Queen. Good to see you. We were
That's
down
right,
in,
Black Queen. How are
in
you?
Jamaica.
You know who I have not seen, and I hope he's not mad at me. Legs.
Probably is.
No, because I think one time, ever since that, I mistakenly or misspoke, thinking that, the name, I thought it was, Legs. I thought it was, and so I misspoke. I have not seen him on. He usually with, Wild Sussex, but I have not seen him on our channel in a long time. I hope everything is okay. I hope I didn't offend you, Legs. But anyway, so yes. So what's going on with Church and Ellie?
Church Nelly. So she has not showed up in chat yet, but we're looking forward to her when she does pop on. And there's so much that happened this past week, but I've got a nice bite-size 3 sections for you guys. So the first is actually the NCAA and the Archwell Foundation had the Digital Civil Rights Award
That's right.
this
They have
past
that
week.
every year. I think the
They
last
did.
3 years or
That's it.
4 years.
Yep.
I don't know.
That's exactly right. And then each year, the NCAA awards one individual with the NCAA Archwell Digital Civil Rights Award. This award celebrates leaders who are advancing civil rights in digital spaces and leading the way to build a better online world. The Archwell Foundation was thrilled to congratulate this year's recipient, Dr. And I really hope I don't butcher this name, but Alondra Nelson, in recognition for her outstanding contributions in AI policy and the advancements of civil rights. Dr. Nelson was accepted the award yesterday evening during the NCAA's Hollywood Bureau Symposium. So just to give you a little bit of background before we
That's right.
we
AI.
ad-lib on
it's-
that. But Dr. Nelson is a sociologist and the leading expert in artificial intelligence, basically AI, and her work focuses on the connections between science, technology, medicine, and social inequality. And she's currently the Harold F. Linder Professor at the Institute of Advanced Study, an independent research center in Princeton, New Jersey. Her research has exposed critical flaws in AI and the role that it plays in election misinformation and reveals the inaccurate, misleading, and often harmful responses that AI can produce. And she's used this research and her findings to advocate for stronger safeguards in AI and the need for regulation.
Now, question I have for you two, because you guys are big tech people and who sort of, write code. And so my thinking is, should I be scared of AI? What's going on here? Because, I was reading an article earlier. One of the guys, CEO, I forgot his name right now. He's like, very soon I'm probably even be taking his job. So I want to know.
So
Should I be
that is like,
concerning? Should I just change my career? Should I back into medical field? Maybe become a doctor like my mom wanted me to be? What should I do?
there is that. I think that would be like multiple episodes just on that topic of like what is the likelihood and possible outcomes of AI and how it may influence society.
Uh-huh.
That is a deep and broad topic. But what I will say is that I don't think anyone knows what its true impact is going to be. But whatever it is, it's going to be absolutely substantial. And I don't think there's going to be an industry that's not going to be impacted by it in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
So the best advice that I can give you is that everyone needs to get educated on it because it is of crucial importance. And it's certainly something that is going to be much more pervasive in society as we go forward. And so it's better to be prepared for what's happening and then see how you fit in it and then how you can help adapt because it's coming.
Yeah, we've
It's
quite
here.
advanced. Yep. Ha 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 ha! My God, more things I need to learn.
I think I'll reserve my personal perspective on the future as a result as impacted by AI. But what I will say is a fascinating article for those who have a chance to read it. And the title alone may tell you at least what that person is thinking. Is one that actually came out in the New Yorker, not this past November, but the prior, so November 2023. And the title of the article was "Why the Godfather of AI Fears What He's Built," and it's a fascinating read because it goes into the mechanics of what AI even is and why they're thinking about it and what that actually means. Because there's a lot of important questions to be worked through today in terms of how we develop responsible AI.
I think it's an incredible tool in terms of, that's something we should be expected. If you ask me, I think we're behind schedule, so to speak. But I do think we need to be very cautious and be very, very careful.
I think you're exactly right. We're behind schedule, and it speaks to the need for a more proactive stance, so that we are it's not just happening to us, but it's something that we are building and doing in a way that really works for everybody.
People like you guys building.
Well, I think that's the big thing. I think you have to be proactive about this kind of thing. And I think that's across all sectors of society, including policy, for sure.
Right. But of course. Okay, so what is next?
The next thing is the latest example of the Megan effect. Dum, 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 dum. So Valencia Key is a brand of, right? Pronounce it right.
You might. It might be a Connie Bomber community update.
No, it could be, but no, we're doing.
I
But
thought it was kind of an update. So,
all right, well, let's skip
are
it.
you done with?
No. I got one more.
Okay.
I said I had 3. And then, as the last thing that I'll talk about, at least in Church Nelly, is I don't know if you guys have seen. It has been kind of running around, but I just kind of found one of the particular things in it kind of funny. So, as you guys probably know, but basically Megan put out an Instagram with a mood board.
That's
right. So, and the mood board basically is kind of, it's random things she's pinned on in order to kind of how she's framing and think about things at any one given moment, and how she may apply it to her show or other kind of different projects she's got going on.
right.
So on the particular mood board, she has like a green star that has Archie written on it, and obviously it's signifying her son, and obviously the crafts and stuff that he does, photo collages, her old dog guy who unfortunately passed away, and watercolors of Harry and all those other things. But anyway, what I found really hilarious is that it actually, I think, showcased her humor.
Yes.
Because you don't get a chance to really see it, you know. You don't.
Right,
You just get to see that she's fabulous and she's wearing, she's great and blah blah blah, and she's a humanitarian because that's obviously what she talks about. But not very often do you actually get a chance to see or hear about her humor. And one of the things that she had on there is those 2 quotes that I kind of found interesting. One is not as funny as the last. So the first one is, "You cannot make everyone happy. You're not a jar of Nutella." Which I just thought is like, yes, because everyone loves Nutella. Mm-hmm. But the one that I thought was hilarious is that, and it seems like something that a kid would say, which I think is even better because it just has the kid kind of logic on it. But it says, "I love you with all of my butt."
Aww.
And it says, "I would say heart, but my butt is bigger."
Oh, dear Lord.
And I think that's just hilarious.
Yes.
And it has like other little things on it. But I just thought
my
that was just, one, it's
the press,
super
the
cute.
Media, they can take that.
Yeah,
and
they
go everywhere with that.
Yeah, I
have
mean, well,
to be
there's a
very
lot. There's a
careful.
lot of ridiculousness going on about,
Right.
people trying to read into things. But at the end of the day, I just thought that was kind of cute and funny.
But I'm related to, sort of. I love sort of putting a moon, sort of board together, which I constantly asking you guys, can you do? You guys know, computer, it's the best thing. Everything has to be
Digitized.
Have you seen my handwriting?
I don't get it.
Have you seen my handwriting?
Well, mine is not that great either.
I think
But-
you have to do
but
some
this
of your
is-
illustrations for the.
That would. I was actually just thinking about that. Honestly,
That should be a bonus.
if that's
for the
actually
members.
on like a mood board, you definitely have to draw people.
I love
my moon board.
For a future sneak peek, just exclusive to Sussex Sunday members, we'll find some of Lady Sussex's art.
Well,
and share it.
I'm not always not going to be seen. At some point,
No. Just your art.
I am going to reveal
No, just specifically.
who I am, and with everything. I mean, I pretty much want to have a life where I want to invite people into my world, my life at some point, and I will do that when I'm ready. And they will see my beautiful illustration,
even before
which is
that.
one day.
Even before that, before they see you and all of that,
That's right.
they'll get a glimpse of some of your artwork.
My art.
Yeah. It's special, people. You should wait.
It's full of love.
Yes.
You know who will appreciate my work? Baron. My brother Baron.
I'm not sure how you should feel about that, Baron, but we'll leave it at that.
No, I think he will really he will say that, you know what, at least she tried.
You will see there was definitely some effort put into it, for sure.
Baron will say, well,
Some effort was put
at
in.
least she tried.
Not everybody can be good at everything.
As long
People have skills.
I
people
think
have
he would
talents.
Yeah, I think he will appreciate as long I don't touch anything architecture because he's a big architecture guy. So if I'm not trying to design a building, then he won't have no problem with that. He'll be like, at least she tried. Oh my goodness. Oh, Baron, why am I picking on you? But anyway, so yes, let's move right along.
Yep.
That's caffeine for you.
Yep. So the next thing is Connie Bomber.
Connie Bomber.
And Connie Bomber has also not showed up in chat yet, although it's very late in Switzerland these days. So,
no, she's probably sleeping and probably going to.
Yeah, we're throwing everyone
later
off with
one.
their schedule.
yeah.
Yes, I know. I mean, it's been very, very difficult to have the schedule that we used to have, with you guys being so busy, and my mother, who, sort of, it's not been really easy at all. So I didn't even think that we were going to be able to have a show this evening.
Made it happen.
There we go.
Because I'm working on
It's
her
all about the replay.
her
It's
schedule.
definitely her schedule.
Yes,
So for Connie Bomber, now is it time that I can talk about the jewelry brand?
absolutely.
Okay, so talking about the jewelry brand. Again, Valencia Keys had a brand boom due to the Meghan effect. And that was actually from Forbes. That was a Forbes headline. It says, Meghan Markle effect sees jewelry brand Valencia Keys sales spike 11,000%. And quoting the owner of the brand, changing my life in a big way. So a quick excerpt from the article says that if after Meghan Markle wore a $125 bracelet, the Meghan Markle effect on the Valencia key was staggering. The brand saw an 11,000% increase on sales, and its web traffic went up 93% in just one day. And within the week, the brand actually had amassed nearly 1,000 new Instagram followers. In addition to the Meghan Markle staple pieces, her off-war Cartier watch and bracelet, she also slipped on this bracelet, which is basically, it has joy written on it. And as the brand said, it's just a visual reminder to check in with yourself, to be present, and to practice gratitude. And the bracelet is currently on back order for 6 weeks due to the abundant love that people are showering on her, and then also just in appreciation of what Meghan's doing.
The Meghan effect, it's not only, it's real. I think it's something that, the world, although they know of it, and so do the media over there, they understand it, they get it, but it's almost like they dismiss it a little bit, as if like it's not happening because, they're not popular, they don't have any money, they're going broke, the usual. But I think this time around, there's something about this particular, thing that just happened to this beautiful woman, having, our Duchess wear her bracelet, and all of a sudden that, there was something about her that coming out and actually thanking, our Duchess, and talk about what just happened to her. And she continued talking, and she's already in Forbes, being interviewed. That particularly thing, based on what I've been hearing from people who knows things like that, insiders of royals and medias, allegedly, this is scared the living hell, of the world, allegedly. For whatever the reason, this particularly one, there is something all of a sudden seems to resonate with them. I don't know if it's because it's so close to her debut of the show and what maybe they've been hoping for, the fact that she had pushed the show, to be next month. Somehow maybe people will lose interest. I don't know. But this particularly one seems to be the one that, they're having a lot of problems with. I don't know whether it's because, sort of had this, women coming in and talk about it and think her like it changed her life, her whole life. Because 2 weeks ago it happened again with the sweater. But this particularly one, for whatever the reason, it's giving a lot of problem. Many people are just not sleeping, allegedly, from what I understand.
But you can absolutely see the joy and the impact on her, in her life.
Absolutely, and it is real. It is absolutely real. What are they saying?
No, do you the?
Yes. So let's play, and let's listen to her. I know. I'll get it together.
This is happening. Okay, the Meghan effect is absolutely real. I am so grateful. You've asked my international hearts, I love you. You said, can you ship internationally? And I am just surrounded by so much love for Megan's because my friend Megan Nuffer found a way that we can ship internationally. Okay, that means you're international and our hearts are connected. You can now order Valencia Key and we can ship to you internationally. I love you. I love you. I love you. So many wonderful things are happening in South Forth. I love you, Rachel. From this beautiful Megan effect. This is a surrounded by love experience. Valencia Key, bravery and light when you wear it, but know that there are just loving hearts lifting and pouring out into the world to make this possible so that you can wear, share, and radiate in it. Because of your love and your orders and your support, I was able to make a hire. I actually was able to hire someone. Thank you so much. Her name is Anna. She is a beautiful soul. Can you pray for us that we can learn and grow together? I love y'all. Thank you for your love and support. Order internationally. Send it to a loved one. Send it to a friend. International shipping is possible. I love you.
She is so beautiful in her energy. Now you understand why people have, there's something authentically real and captivating about her and just almost childlike, which I'm related to because you know me, I'm a goofball. I behave like a 3-year-old sometimes and speak like one. She is so amazing, and I believe this particularly thing that just happened to her, this is giving people problem. It's really giving people problem.
Well, I think to your point, I think it could be a culmination of everything that's going on because there's just a lot that's happening. And so it's just like compounding evidence and compounding benefit and compounding like exposure on top of positive reinforcement and good press and all that other stuff. So it's just one more, needle on the camel's back, so to say.
But I also think Netflix probably looking at themselves and said, boy, we hit the jackpot. Because I'm just going to go in a limb. That's just me. That is my opinion. And I'm probably wrong. And in fact, I think I am wrong. But I think it needs to be said. For whatever the reason, I feel like in some really weird way, because of everything that was going to Netflix, perhaps maybe Meghan and Harry saved Netflix. I am going to, and the reason why that, you know what, there's so many people that come back to Netflix after, they debut their, what was it that they did? It was most watched.
Documentary?
The documentary and everything that they were doing with Netflix. And it's almost for whatever the reason, all of a sudden, people stop having issues, whatever the issues that they have, whatever was going on, sort of seems to stop once Harry and Meghan. And now we are looking for her show that's going to be debut. And I'm sure Netflix have been crashed before because of a Duchess. And it is most likely it's probably going to happen again.
Well, they've
you know what I mean, and this idea that I don't know. I don't know. I have no way of knowing what I'm actually saying is the truth. So it just feels like the move of creating a business with the most popular royals, in my opinion, the most beautiful and oh God, what is the word that I'm looking for? This woman is so incredible and people really truly love her and almost want to have a piece of anything that she owns because, there is something real and regal about her. And I just feel like it was the best move that Netflix could possibly make. I mean, we talking about, I'm thinking, that they are leaving, not literally leaving, but they are moving somewhat away from just only movies. And now it seems like they're going to get into much more, other stuff, home stuff. So it's incredible. And then the fact that you know what they're going to debut, whatever that is, with our Duchess, that is incredible. That is probably one of the best moves they probably ever made, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I could be completely wrong. It could be just the
Well,
coffee talking.
it
But I'm
it
just
benefits them both. I think it benefits them both. I don't, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think Netflix is taking very much of a risk. She is a very well established brand. She's a very incredibly successful brand, global brand. And she has a built-in audience who's definitely going to watch it.
I just want her to be a
So-
billionaire from this. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure the kids are going to be secure. They're going to have security for the rest of their life. They're going to be okay. We won't have to really worry about them. And they're going to be able, because truly, I mean, they are paying for everything. They're not asking anybody for nothing. So to me is that I think it is important, because I don't know the world that we are entering now if just being a millionaire, especially for high risk people like them, being a millionaire is just not enough, I don't think.
Well,
That's
I don't
my
even think
opinion.
you have to worry about it. Frankly, I think they'll do well. Like they are a global brand. Both of them together, like each of them separately
am
as
praying.
well as together, are global brands. So they're not reliant on any one particular place, and they will do well wherever they are, regardless of political wind. So,
As I said again, I think they both deserve
so
it.
I think they'll
Wonderful.
be no, absolutely, they definitely do. But to your point about just Netflix generally, I do think that it makes sense for them because Netflix is the number one streaming platform. They do
Right.
have the largest audience, so it
Right.
makes sense that they were able to get in there. And then also to your point, I think it also makes sense because it is a departure from like just the regular movies and TV shows that they typically have. It is a different kind of like lifestyle show.
But what
So it's interesting in that way, because it actually opens up really kind of a new lane for Netflix, with a very established brand that Meghan Markle is. So I think it's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be really interesting. I think that it could actually play incredibly well for both of them financially.
To be honest, normally sometimes I say Megan. I don't usually say the Markle part because I know the Markles want to do anything to relate to her. I think I want to do the best I can to really call her Madame Duchess, and our princess, because that's what she is, and she have demonstrating that she is. She's uphold, sort of what probably the Queen had seen her and wanted to, whatever the promise that and you know what's incredible, I think it was last night or the night before, I was listening to, who knows, of course, Baron, and I think he was talking about the possibility relationship our Duchess had with the Queen. And I remember that time when they took the train together. I believe it was one of the first. That was the first time that ever happened, because it didn't happen with Kate until I think when she was married. If it happened, if it did, I didn't know. But I wonder that moment, that time they spent together. I wonder what they talk about. I just feel like there is thing that probably she told her that's probably they certainly had something special. And I know we, during everything that was going on, we had let the Queen have it, and for not stepping up, for not sort of doing anything. I don't know what she could have done, giving that, in my opinion, that Charles had already take over or something like that. I don't know. And I could be wrong again. But what I will say is that, I think the Queen, like Royal Sussex said, had recognized already in Harry, and then him bring that girl on and see what she could do for the monarchy. I think they had something special. And I think that tears that we saw that day at the funeral, there was something behind that tears. For whatever the reason, I don't know why, there is something, it stays with me, and I feel like there was something behind that tears. It wasn't just her sad of the passing of the queen, but there was something behind that. Either what it could have been, you know, I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? As I said again, I think it's the coffee. So go ahead, please.
Sure. So the next thing actually is kind of a similar vein of what we mentioned before, because it's not the first time, obviously, that such response has happened off of things that Meghan just wore. So we thought that it would just be a good idea just to kind of reflect on some of the latest that she's done. And this is over like the past 2 weeks, by the way. It's not even like a long time.
That's right.
So the actually, is it the latest? I think it actually is the latest outside of what she wore during Invictus was actually the sweatshirt that she made. Actually, she had made and she wore during her Instagram, where I believe she was announcing her new show. And it had.
It wasn't her announcing her new show. That was for the fire.
Yeah.
Oh, for the fire. Thank you. Yes, but for that actually, she just simply had Archie and Lilibeth embroidered on the collar of. Really, it was just simply a sweatshirt with a crew collar. It was really just a very simple thing, but it was so well received, and it blew up basically this entire storefront. And she had back orders for 8 weeks.
Yeah, because
and she had to leave maternity leave
correct,
early just to come back in order to fulfill what it was. Right. And so, you know, the woman herself, actually, because it's a Chicago-based thing, and her name's actually Ann Leachman, said she had to do a double take because she could not believe the volume of business that was just coming in off of just simply that thing.
This is the thing is, again, I don't know. And please correct me if I'm wrong, guys, because I really sort of don't keep up with so many of things that is happening right now. I feel like I just put my blinder on. But I don't know anyone in terms of, God, I need to be very careful what I'm saying. But in the world stage, currently, I don't know anyone who's been scrutinized. Every single day, have an article being talk about them like our Duchess. It's almost like I feel like she's already surpassed what an icon is, or what people used to think of icon. I feel like we need to have like another name, because I've never seen. I mean, it's really. Incredible. I mean, we're talking about, you know, you could expect that from someone that, you know, in high power like presidents and things like that. But you will talk because, you know, they have policies, they have all these things that, you know, what they do. So they must be reported on, you know, sort of. But this woman, literally, it's every single day, 7 days a week, the last 8 years, and scrutinized about everything, anything she wear, anything, her movement that she made. Obviously, I mean, I'm a big fan of hers. I didn't even notice that she had those letters on her sweater. I was too busy looking at her beautiful face. I didn't see that. The same thing with, I believe there's a necklace that she wore.
Shall I read that one?
Yes, please read that.
Okay.
Because I missed that too until I see it in Royal Sussex. I'm like, what?
Yep. So while she was announcing, and this is actually, I did double check this. So while she was announcing that she's renaming her American Riviera Orchard brand to As Ever, the Duchess of Sussex actually wore a red enamel necklace in the shape of a heart. And it actually comes from Gold Album and was designed in partnership with Kelly McKee, who's obviously one of Meghan's longtime friends. And you might remember she actually was actually the person she took to the benefit for that children's hospital.
Correct.
And the reason why that's like just so touching is the fact that the woman, like Kelly McKee, she actually lost a child.
Yes.
Her son, actually, from just this terrible disease all of a sudden. It was just this horrible virus that he contracted and then died, unfortunately, which is just absolutely horrible. And so a lot of people, you can get that necklace actually personalized.
Yeah.
So you can get it whatever you want. But Megan actually got the G&L just for her because that actually is for her friend. So, which I think is really nice because it obviously pays tribute.
Is it GNL? I think it has Lily and Archie on hers.
No, it from what and anyway, this is what the article says. To have worn this style, G&L paying tribute to McKee's children, daughter Lily, and her late son George.
Probably, I'm sure that's probably the one that. Well, okay, I just have to probably rewatch again. Well, Sussex, because he did a great job talking about it. Okay, so.
Yeah. So anyway, so those are two more examples on top of the jewelry that she basically just sold out of just the Meghan Markle effect and basically her impact on brands. And then also, I think, highlights how careful she is because she knows she has this impact because all these brands basically have a couple things in common. Typically, they're women-owned and they're almost always small businesses. And so she knows the impact that she has. And I think that it's, again, just another example of her using her platform in the right way.
I think, and I hope at some point we're going to be able to move past a lot of the nonsense that's going on and people really going to actually start writing, about this woman in a way that, we have not only ever seen or even come close to understand her impact when it comes to not just fashion, but how she moved products and the way she moved products. And not even hers. We're talking about she probably a designer dream or any sort of big marketing dreams because it's not like she opened her mouth, said, "Oh, this is what I'm wearing, go and support it." No. All she have to do is put an article item. The people already know where it's from, how much it costs, and who made it, and all that. And all that happened like instantly. I don't even believe that they even released a press sort of, okay, this is what she's doing. Somehow people find it. And again, over and over again, it's very obviously like many celebrities will have things sent to them, obviously. And but I believe she bought her stuff. And that's what makes this so incredible. And I think for designers, big marketer houses and to be looking at this and see what it's happening, what this woman able to do for brand and especially small brand, it is absolutely a phenomenon that I think they probably gonna have to create like a class for it in one of those universities to understand this, because again, I believe, in my opinion, she surpassed what an icon is.
It's interesting. Avid Reader actually had a couple comments, and some of the squatties call it the Markle Sparkle, which I love the alliteration.
Yes.
Or the other one is the Sussex Shine, which I also thought was also some nice alliteration.
Because it's almost, there is a continuation of Diana obviously was not really around too much for Diana, but when I studied this woman in the eyes of my mother and things that I've learned and many in videos, the sense that I get, there was something about Diana that was very addictive, and you almost feel like not only her, but her presence even on screen feel somebody you probably should not feel like related to it, but you are, or you wanted to see her win, you wanted to see her succeed, you wanted to be like, it's almost like many people was living through her, the things that she wear, everything she wear, the way she moves and all that. And I feel like with our Duchess, she take it to another notch where now it's almost like what she's wearing, it's attainable and it's simple. it's elegant, it's effortless, it's feel affordable. And if you could not even afford the exactly thing, you can actually go to a store. You'll find similar things. If that is the look, is that the style. But I think people love this woman so much that they're willing to spend the money, whatever that is, just to know that they could say she have that and and I do now.
Yeah, it's true. She is a force. I mean, actually, another thing avid reader had added in before is that her brand is motivational, monumental, and a moneymaker. That's part of the reason why they're all paying so much attention over on the other side.
Yes, and again, because I am looking at this, it's hard for us because we are in it all the time. We're talking about her to really take a time to dissect this to see how massive this is. We're talking about Netflix and the last that who had changed how we even go to movies in sort of, from what I understand for people that, who used to watch rental videos, I think it was Starbucks, not Starbucks,
Blockbuster.
What was
Blockbuster.
it again? Blockbuster. That was a video store they used to rent, from what I understand. And so if you think about what they have done, and now they are not only attaching their brand to make, but we're talking about partnering with someone. It's a completely very different level now we're talking about. You will never be able to think of Netflix, whatever their achievement will be, whether it's long-term or short-term, where you're not going to see our Duchess being a part of that brand. Like when you think of Netflix, wherever Netflix end up going, because there's always going to be where it started. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I also think, again, I understand why they are so scared for what happened this week. Because when you see this woman coming out and just kind of shouting out how her life changed, and she's so happy and she's so giddy and she's so natural in life-changing moment, there is something about this that forces you to look at the royals and say, is there anything like that ever happened since Diana? Especially right now, the current climate that we are in right now. Because that is not something you can duplicate it. Yes, you can wear or sort of duplicate, sort of the copycat that, I've seen that happen. If Meghan wears something, they want to wear it too. I get it. Feel flattered. But my opinion is that there's a reason why they're doing it. But this is not something you can duplicate or replicate. And I don't know anybody that who can.
There was a good quote from the Super Bowl halftime show. You can't fake influence.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Ken Rich did say that. It is. I think if you take a minute to think of what is actually really happened overall, spite of the climate that we are in, everything that's happening around us, this woman is not only shining, but is doing something. It's almost bringing joy. So that's the only way thing that I could think of, joy, in the mix of what feels at times darkness. There is something there that I think historians going to study for years, and they probably still will not be able to understand it. And we haven't even started the surface yet. So, come on.
Well, what's next is actually, as always, to say a big thank you. And also a hello, since we haven't had a chance to pause in the midst of the conversation to say hello to everyone who's checked in. So hello to Sylvia Fielder, to Joyce Anderson. We're glad you are enjoying the podcast. To Cookies and Cream, Angela Simmons, Marjorie Austin. There was one Love, Gwen Stevenson. And I think someone mentioned, I can't remember now, someone mentioned that they were just listening because they're having some vision problems. So we hope you get some rest and give your eyes a break for sure.
Yes.
But yes, we are eternally grateful for everyone to continue to support us every week, to remind us to say, give a thumbs up and to share and to like and subscribe and all those things. And a very especially grateful to all of our members who really do make the show possible. So, as always, that is Patrick R. Marcel, R.R. Carter, Antonio TC416, V. Brame, Black Queen, Church Nelly, Kate Castillo, Eve Balmer, Sylvia Fielder, Connie Balmer, V. Thomas, Lady Rose Sussex, Bryce Thompson, the one and only Royal Sussex, Lydia Washington, Connie and Julie, Angela White, Chef Sandy Love, Dawn Robinson Gales, Diane Hawkins, and Ingrid Source. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you. It means so much to me. I'm still can't process that part of it. You know what I mean? Because it to know that people care enough and just want to support us, and it just
Yeah, it is. And so with that, we will pivot now, reminding everyone that we are, yes, it is a church service, but we're not trying to convince anyone to change their belief or change their religion. And we're also not experts. We don't claim to be experts. And we do encourage everyone to always go and get information and perspectives from multiple sources, differing opinions, differing areas of information that you can read into, just to validate even the things that we talk about. Even though most of the things that we talk about here are always going to be alleged anyway.
Allegedly, but made for research and made for research.
Exactly. But beyond that, we are here to ask questions and highlight those who we believe are doing the good work to make the world a better place. People like Prince Harry and Princess Meghan.
That's right. So let's get the service started. Here we go. So, guys, I have 2 words for you guys. I was reading something. I don't know what it is that I was reading. Actually, it probably was Sussex Love, I think, that we usually sort of, write stuff and posting pictures. And I don't have the quote right this minute, but it got me to think about the word that I wanted to use this week, and looked at everything that is been going on, and the kind of, I don't want to call it game, but the genius, so to speak, our Duchess and Harry, the way they playing, well, let's call it game, I suppose, but so well. It's with, there must be something to it. And I was thinking, what word should we be using this week to better understand this moment right now we are entering? And it's, the first word is knowledge. And the second word will be wisdom. And so, Charles, can you walk me through knowledge? What is that word? Where did it come from?
Knowledge actually was used in the 14th century, and it's from the Middle English. And it's interesting because it goes fairly far back, and there's actually a variety of different ways you can look at it. So the first is the fact or condition of knowing something with familiarity, gained through experience or association.
Say it again.
The fact or condition of knowing something with familiarity, gained through experience or association.
Interesting.
So you basically know something well that you've actually experienced in the past, which makes sense.
Isn't it amazing how that tied so well with as ever?
Exactly.
Correct.
The second is actually the acquaintance with or an understanding of a science, art, or technique. So I think it's much more straightforward. It's
That's
basically you're acquainted with understanding a particular bit of either art, science, or technique, something. The fact or condition of being aware of something. Okay, makes sense. Just being aware of it means that you have some knowledge of it. But I think it's also interesting about the breadth of it, about just how deep one gets versus another. A range of one's information or understanding. So, for instance, you've answered something to the best of your knowledge. So that's actually, again, fairly limited. So you could go and say knowledge could be one thing, which basically you have to a lot of experienced. So you have a professor or someone who's an expert in a field has a lot of knowledge. And at the same time, you could also say that, okay, well, look, the knowledge that you have is also knowledge because it's within the range of your experience. So I think it's very interesting just how broad the term could be.
I'm laughing right now because it just reminded me of very early in my career. And I was trying to figure out some way to get this database to work and to like, what kind of code did you need to put in to get the output that you wanted, basically? And I was struggling with it. It was right at the beginning. And I went over to the team that was focused on IT and those sort of solutions and asked him to explain it. And he said, oh gosh, I wish I could remember exactly what the quote was. He basically said, well, this is actually for an approach for people that have a different knowledge base than you. I was like, that is an amazing way of saying that I don't know what I'm doing. Different knowledge base.
Sounds very IT.
HR compliant.
Yeah,
way of saying
sounds
that you're stupid.
Yeah. You lack a lot of experience.
Yes.
So the third, actually, of the second tier of definitions, actually, is the circumstance or condition of apprehending truth or fact through reasoning.
Say it again.
The circumstance or condition of apprehending the truth or being able to discover the truth through, or fact for that matter, through reasoning. So being able to discover it yourself.
Wow. It describes what it has been for the last, since 5 years now, since she left. I mean, this could not be the most perfect word to choose today, knowing that, the kind of knowledge this woman have. And I remember one of her last interview that she had, and I think it was about the parent that who lost kids via the internet and everything, and she was not expect some question to come at her, and she said she have not even begun to scratch the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Really, truly, I mean, if you think about someone such as herself, that who take note of everything, that who have a moon board, that keep receipts and everything in I mean, the idea that, just very recently I hear that, this lady who actually she met probably, I think they was writing to each other or something about something. It was in Sussex last time I was watching, and the lady was over in Invictus, and she said something. She tried to get to where our Duchess was into the VIP, and she was trying to sort of get close to her, and she says something. She think maybe, I guess she just throw it out there. Maybe she will get it, whatever they get. Apparently, it was some code word, something nice. Only the two of them probably would know. And she immediately not only know and acknowledge the woman, even remember her name. And again, this is another thing. When you looked at what has been going on in the World's family, that investigation that, and from my understanding, I don't know, allegedly, that didn't go anywhere, to everything they've been throwing at this woman. And they know she's sitting on piles of stuff all she will have to do is open her mouth. And there's a lot she could say because, as she say, spite of everything that we think we know, that we see what have happened, and on her own voice, she said she have not even scratched the surface, and that should says it all. And I think that word describe exactly what I've been thinking about.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely interesting. And you would think it would actually give them more pause too, just knowing what it is that she knows. But regardless, so going back to knowledge.
Yeah.
Another definition is the fact or condition of having information or information that has been learned. So a person of unusual knowledge is how they sum that up. The next is actually a sum of what is known, a body of truth, information, and the principles acquired by humankind. So it's actually like with a capital K, like what knowledge is as society. And then you actually have some older ones. So there's actually an archaic one where knowledge could actually mean like to know a woman could be like sexual intercourse. You've actually had that before.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or another one could be actually a branch of learning. Could be one. And then one that actually they've even just listed as being obsolete, which I can kind of understand. But basically of just being cognizant of something, like you're aware of something in the back of your mind. But that's knowledge. So
Well,
it can be pretty
I do.
broad.
I do. I'm sure that, beside the sexual thing, I think that, when you think about, our Dutch's life and how she's able to move the world and what she have done, she's a world of knowledge, of learning. And that's probably, what saved Harry and what's get her to where she is. And again, it is my opinion, Harry didn't save her. She saved Harry. And I think that, I don't think, it's easy to look at her and say, yes, he has been an incredible husband. And I think it was last week, and I was thinking about that, and I didn't say anything, and I should have, is that, there was this idea that, most women, that who are looking for a partner, the standard is now Harry. And to me is that, I think the standard is Megan. You know what I mean? I do think that, as Harry himself have saying, he had to step up his game when he met her. And I think that, what she brought in Harry's life and the way they both able to work together as a team, make no mistake, the world of knowledge that, our Dutchies have from the outside is, to me, in my opinion, what saved Harry and what really make it all work. I mean, yes, of course, Harry knows tons of people, of course, but Harry's been an insider. He's been in, you know what I mean? To know your way around, to do the things that, she has been able to do. I don't know if Harry would have been able to do that himself. Yes, he probably would have left, at some point. Yes, he would, because he did not want to be there, obviously. But I also know that, at him not leaving, there was a lot of unanswered questions. And I think, once he find that special someone, and you could see it in his eyes, the way he looked at her. This woman is a world of knowledge on almost, everything that, she's been able to not just showing to us and the public, but how she moves, what she does, and how she speak. It's almost like, you don't like to say, oh, people is perfect. But if there was some kind of idea what we think of what perfect is sometime, you looked at this woman, she's close to that, and by no means she's a perfect human being. But what I'm saying is that if you're looking at the superficial stuff, whether it's her look, her simplicity, whether it's sort of her courage, that everything that is that even her writing, her handwriting, her pause, and her diction, her grammar, her smart, and where she's been, in places she have gone that you never thought that she avoid, people that she knows, and all that. You put all that together, and it paint a picture that is, there's no way, spite of who Harry is and was in the sort of in the royal family, could not have achieved that on her own, on his own, without a duchess. That is my opinion again, because there is something special about this woman, and she was the right woman for Harry, and I think Harry needed her in order to save himself.
No, I definitely think they were the perfect match, and I think it's evident just in the way
It's
in which they treat each other
it's
and
almost
how they reflect each other when
that's
they're
right.
when
It's
they're around.
almost that what, if you believe in spirituality and you believe on sort of the spirit that sort of they look after us, and so they guide us in whatever that divine thing. It's almost like Diana went in and choose and find the right person for her son Harry. I truly believe it. There is something mystic about the two of them. And again, I think those two couple are, there's gonna be books after books written about them in all different type of levels. Because it's almost like it's something you have I don't know, at least not in my lifetime, and I'm sure it happened. The great love stories and all that, whatever. Even if you want to go back, what is the most famous love story?
Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet. Like it's, I don't know. Yeah, I'm only speaking here that
It's not
what in
Brumhilda?
my, like, there is something. This is gonna be a play. I could see it become a music. I could see it become movies after different movies. I could see like intellectual book try to dissect and have that understanding. This is the level that I feel like what this is gonna go. And I don't believe that I'm wrong about this. And I think the royal family, and or if when we looked at the royal family, I think there's always going to be the mistake that they made in not understanding, not realizing what they have lost. You see? Because the media, at some point, they will reform themselves and they will get back on track, and they will sort of, sort of pretending that, what happened didn't happen, what we see, we didn't see. They will turn things around and everything, whatever the case is. I'm sure of that. But the Royals family, because I was thinking about this.
You're gonna roll today.
Yeah, I am in a role. No, I don't even know why, because I don't usually think about them like
I think
that.
it's the coffee.
Yeah, I think it is that, sometimes when I listen to Royal Sussex, he takes my brain into someplace else, and I start thinking all different things. I'm like, okay. But I was thinking about this because very often we think of Harry's brother and his wife. What is his brother name again? I can't ever remember. I'm sorry, I really cannot ever remember. It's because I'm trying to figure out what he's done and things that I can associate with. So, because that's how I associate people. Their name. What is his name again?
William.
Williams. That's right. And then his wife. Anyway, and you think of King Charles, which you guys don't say anything. Don't say he's my boyfriend. Don't say anything because I had saying that I'd found him. Don't pick on me. No. But anyway, and that other woman. So when you think of the royal family, it's easy to think those four people. But the royal family is a big family that is being supported by the purse, right? So it must be a fear on all these people that who are getting older. If they don't sort of do what they need to do, what that can be for them. Because they've been supported by the taxpayer, they've been supported by the purse, by the, sort of, you understand what I'm saying? Do you see where I'm trying to go? The scary things and how they expose themselves. Charles is going to be okay. His wife, I'm sure, is going to be okay with all her children. And Prince of Wales now, who's a billionaire, I'm sure is going to be okay. Whatever they get. But what about the rest of them? Do you understand what I'm saying? And I think what is happening right now with me, I don't know how UK going to resolve this issue, this problem. And I feel like for each day that pass and they don't resolve, they don't come into some sort of understanding. And I'm not talking about Harry and Meghan going back, because I don't see them going back, and I don't think they will. I don't think so at all. I don't see it. But what I think that, that's even missing in the conversation, some sort of reconciliation that could have happened, and they have missed so many opportunities. If each time they fail to have that reconciliation in some sort, even just be friendly, to remove some of the pressure of the royals, it may never happen.
Yeah, it's going to be the whole thing's going to be really interesting, just in terms of how this plays out, looking into the future, just because if things keep on going in their current trajectory, Meghan is going up and the royal family is not at the same thing probably, but
they need a star.
But
and the star
it's going to be interesting to see
Harry
what it
and
is.
Meghan.
Yeah,
And you have these 3 other children that have a long way to go, and especially entering with what's probably going to be very different, and and also the relationship with people with the royalty. Is that even going to be there? Is that going to change? How is it going to change? Is celebrities going to be even a thing? Are we going to sort of looking at AI as a celebrity? I don't know.
Well,
What
the
I
one
do
thing you
know
definitely
is the
know is there's
world
definitely
is
going to
changing.
change. Yeah, exactly.
And so that kind of change that it's happening, I feel like if they don't find a way of have a reconciliation of some sort, where it particularly to be able to see them welcome the successes, to be able to even be going to event, doesn't particularly doing any royals job, but just being a part of the family, to restore some sort of thing that can actually make them look good, and maybe a little bit of that sparkle can shine on them. I think if they fail to do that, and they still doing those petty, what feel like nonsense, what feel like it's not really important, not a part, they're not playing, like it's almost like they stop playing. And I keep saying it, it's almost there is someone in the royal family that's not allowing them to just surpass that, because it just doesn't make any sense to me.
You might say that making the decision would require wisdom.
Absolutely. And so we need to find out what knowledge is. What is knowledge? Wisdom.
Wisdom. Let's go.
No, why are we going to wisdom?
Yeah, because
are we done with knowledge?
We're done with knowledge for now, because I'm very excited about the journals for today, because they actually combine them very nicely.
Okay, so let's do wisdom.
Okay, so for wisdom,
where did that come from?
Wisdom was first used in the 12th century.
Where?
And is
What town?
What town?
What was her name?
See, you need to be wise to
That's
understand when to interject. And it's from the Old English. And it's not, it's interesting because, well, as knowledge it has quite a variety of meanings, wisdom actually doesn't have quite the same breadth. So, but it's, so wisdom is the ability to discern inner qualities in relationships. So it's much more of an understanding. It could also just mean good sense, like you just simply have good judgment. It could also mean generally accepted belief, so the general parlance. Or it could be an accumulated philosophical or scientific learning. So, and the last is basically just the teaching of ancient wise men. So that is wisdom.
It's almost like as soon you say that, I feel like it's almost like I hear Harry when he said that, you know what, I know it was time to go. And it was time to go. The time that they choose to leave and what comes after that, to me, was wisdom.
Are you ready for the journals yet?
Yes.
Because I've been waiting.
Okay, well then go ahead with your journal.
I told you at the beginning that they were gonna have to be after both words.
Well, you guys give me a mic, and then I have.
You know, the problem was the coffee. The problem was the
It's
coffee.
the coffee.
Not doing.
I
that
don't know
again.
why I'm back drinking coffee.
Especially this late.
Because it's delicious.
No, that is because last night my mom did not sleep at all, and this morning it was been very, very difficult.
And you're still
So I'm
going.
tired.
It's literally still happening right
Yeah,
this
I'm tired.
second.
And I
You
watched
can't
Lady
stop
Su-
it.
well, you see, now I say I watched Lady Sussex. I watched Baron last night,
Speaking
really,
of-
really late.
Speaking of,
Yes.
thank you. Hello to you as well, Sharon Augustine, and thank you for sending hugs to Lady Sussex's mom.
Thank you.
And also
Thank you so
celebrations
much.
to Black Queen for being a member now for 6 months officially.
That's right. How's her daughter doing?
We're gonna cut your mic off, but yes, we hope your daughter is doing well.
Yes.
Black Queen.
Yes. I pray for her every night. So, yes. Go ahead.
Okay, so I am excited about the journals for today and for these words generally, but they're because they actually focus kind of really on how they relate to each other. And I think they're really interesting also because it kind of starts philosophical, conceptual, high level, but then by the third one, there's 3 of them. By the third one, seeing it very practically in terms of what does it mean in day-to-day life and business. And you can see Meghan and Harry pretty explicitly throughout. So the first one is called Wisdom. It's a journal article published by John Keeks in the American Philosophical Quarterly, actually in 1983 by the University of Illinois Press. And what he writes is that wisdom is like love, intelligence, decency, and justice, in that it is a good thing to have, and the more a person has of it, the better they are. The opposite of wisdom is foolishness, universally recognized to be a defect. Although there is an old tradition speaking in praise of folly, its defenders do not oppose wisdom, but its confusion with book learning and expertise. Erasmus insisted, for instance, that much of what his learned contemporaries took to be foolishness was in fact wisdom, and what they regarded as wisdom was at best the accumulation of information. Wisdom is a character trait intimately connected with self-direction. The more wisdom a person has, the more likely that he will succeed in living a good life. And the contrary is also true. The more foolish a person is, the less likely it is that he will succeed in his aspirations. The possessions of wisdom show itself in reliable, sound, reasonable, in a word, good judgment. In good judgment, a person brings his knowledge to bear on his actions. To understand wisdom, we have to understand its connection with knowledge, action, and judgment. And so for me, that it came about that very clearly at the end there, the idea of the wisdom is the combination of each of those things and how they are applied. Because it is not just good enough to have knowledge, but how you combine it with action and in its use in judgment. And just that it is a sort of foundational element to being successful. If you want to have a successful life, it is based on the quality of your life and your happiness. All of it is tied to your wisdom, how you apply that, your judgment, your how you apply what you know, and your judgment in your actions.
Well, it's interesting because what that also kind of relates back to is also your experiences, right? Because if you tie in what the definition of knowledge is, the first definition of it actually happens to be what you experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so, ergo, if it's what you experience, then the more that you open yourself up to new experiences, then the more wise you'll become.
It's true, and it's interesting also because the way that this author positions it, it says wisdom is a character trait intimately connected with self-direction, and so having a purpose, working towards something greater than yourself, and just even knowing which direction you're going is something that is, he said, intimately connected with that idea of wisdom. But the next journal is actually kind of bringing it more out of the philosophical realm. But before going into it,
No, because I find it really interesting. The love part of it all, so it's sort of to see what happened when love entered the room and what happened, what can come from that if we are using the word wisdom and how that developed itself. And so that kind of, which is for me, is something that come from God. Sort of because high knowledge and wisdom, sort of when you think about amazing, ancient books, very often, you'll hear those two words together. And so to me, that is something one experience when love is present. And this idea, the fact that, what, the opposite side of it is what? Foolishness. And it's very easy to really look at everything that is happening currently and the type of people that is going after the successes as what feels like foolish in some aspect. Of course, that is my opinion because you cannot understand that. But the foolishness is something that feels like, will come from hate. Something dark, something, like Royal Sussex favorite word, sinister. It's sort of, there is something dark that seems to create foolishness. And when you think of love, when you think of things that you care about, things that change the world, things that, that last, it's knowledge. And it's the wisdom that is manifest to it all. And that open a world that you just want to experience, that you want to feel. There is a feeling, and that feeling is love. And this is what probably we are all experiencing and want a little piece of it when you looked at what is currently happening with, our Dutchies and with our friends. And it's not like we have not seen people kiss before. It's not like we have not seen people sort of lovey-dovey before. It's not like we have not seen people sort of, really into each other. But it's almost like when you looked at the two of them, there is something, again, spiritual. There is something different than most couple. There is something that just, enticing. There is something that I cannot put my hand or word to it. There is something, the texture of it, the feeling of it, the drama of it, there is something real. One of the things that, happened to me in France that I wanted it to go and see where where Monet, sort of paint the series of, his famous stuff, which is the lilies, right? And this idea that, where he was sitting, where the two rivers come together. And you try to enter his mindset, what he was thinking, because, and how he translated everything. It's almost like it's hard to describe. If you get to go there and you sit there and you see, you can go getting into his world. There is something spiritual that happened. And when you looked at these arts, you see it in a very different way. And you experience something very different. So to me, when I think of wisdom, I think the power of God.
It's actually funny you say that, because Avid Reader just wrote a note and said that he actually tends to associate it with the wisdom with the words in the Serenity Prayer.
That's right. That's right. Give me the wisdom. That's right. Exactly. Which one that, we have done, recently.
We did do it recently.
That's right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The next one is coming down as one rung from the philosophical, still quite philosophical, but a little bit more applied in terms of like what does it mean practically, is called Life, Science, and Wisdom According to Descartes. And it's in a journal article published by Adrian Pepperzak in the History of Philosophy Quarterly in 1995, also by the University of Illinois Press.
Illinois. Mm-hmm.
So what he writes is that if it is true that the supreme good of human life is wisdom, then all human endeavors are grounded in the search for wisdom, and all our scientific ventures are oriented by this search. The letter which Descartes sent to Elizabeth, along with the principles of philosophy, defines wisdom as the firm and powerful resolve to use reason as well as one can, and, in all actions, to do whatever one judges to be best.
Oh, my God.
Wisdom grounds and encompasses the other three cardinal virtues, justice, courage, and temperance, successors to the Platonic Dicasine, Andrea, and Sophrosine, and through these, all other virtues. Although this definition emphasizes the will, the preface to the French edition of the Principles of Philosophy stresses knowledge when it defines wisdom as both prudence in our affairs and a perfect knowledge of all things that mankind is capable of knowing, both for the conduct of life, moral knowledge, and for the preservation of health, medicine, and the discovery of all manner of skills, mechanics. Neither definition of wisdom follows the view of Plato and Aristotle that the highest form of knowledge is contemplation as the absolute end of human life, desirable par excellence. Instead, wisdom here is useful knowledge. We seek knowledge of the truth inasmuch as it enables us to lead our lives in a satisfactory and happy manner. And when I read that sentence the first time, it like floored me, because if you want to talk about the haters, you want to talk about the trolls, you want to talk about whoever you want to talk about, I think that sentence says it all, because it says we seek knowledge of the truth inasmuch as it enables us to lead our lives in a satisfactory and happy manner. Means that you may, if that's not what they don't want, they may not necessarily want the truth.
It's true. But speaking of the truth, actually, we cannot dismiss or forget about the fact that Black Queen gave us a great super sticker and then also answered your question, Lady Sussex, regarding her daughter.
Yes.
She said, "Thanks, guys. Love is finally back and living here, the best life, and nothing can stop her glory." And she loves it.
Amen.
Hugs to you and your mom.
Thank
her
you.
daughter is doing great, and she
Wonderful.
will get and go get her job school in March.
Yeah, I don't know why she comes in my mind all the time, and especially when I'm praying. So I've always sort of put out a prayer for her, because service in what she is taking on and what she wants to do and how she wants to serve, it's just something that I think that's very special.
For sure.
And just to close out that one, it says we seek knowledge of the truth in as much as it enables us to lead our lives in a satisfactory and happy manner. This does not involve merely virtuous behavior, but also the health of the body and the exercise of certain mastery or control over the world. So again, to bring it back to Megan, and as ever, this prudence in our affairs, a knowledge of what we are capable of knowing, and the conduct of our lives, and moral knowledge, that it is useful knowledge, not just contemplation in and of itself, and a mastery over our own affairs. I mean, all of that, and to do it in a way that is virtuous. It is the essence of what, in terms of Pepperzak's view of Descartes, is at the core of. Wisdom.
Again, I mean, obviously, it's okay for me to speak the way I'm about to and the way I have been speaking because, after all, this is a church service, right? You want to preach and you want to give your sermon. You want to sort of testify. If you really truly think about, these two couple that who sort of from world apart from each other, and to see the move, everything that Harry had endured, and you look at not his life, and you looked at our Dutch's life from a little girl and her path and what it means to her to serve and have been served, sort of doing service, everything she has done, for herself, for her career, and nothing at no time it ever feel like over the top. And yes, yet she remained something more. There is something more about her, especially when you live in a world where everything it's outrageous, everything it's big, everything is dramatic, everything is just, like me, over the top sometimes. But to see the two lives together and how much they have in common and where they come from and the power in this woman. And again, it's nothing that's forced. It's nothing that is over the top. There is a simplicity. There is something natural. There's a meant to happen, meant to be. There is the wisdom, the knowledge this woman you feel like she that she possess, so to speak. It is incredible to see. Just the idea, I mean, who would have known that, okay, she was going to getting into the royal, the family, right? And then one of the trade that, she pick up, it's learn how to write those fancy stuff that seems to belong in a place there. And yet, I'm not so sure there's many of those royals that are write like this. Even something that simple, so to speak. Do you understand what I'm saying? And there is again so much more. The fact is that the royal family, they're famous for doing charity works, and that's what they do, and they go around, sort of they do this they call it charity, but anyway, and then here this woman again, who an actress that could have been doing so much more in the world of acting, so to speak, somehow at some point in her life, take her to Africa, again, doing really incredible work. At the same time, her future husband was also doing. Like, there is something so mystery about this when you looked at those two lives and completely fall apart. And yet, how they come together and blend, synchronize together, there is something special about it. And I remember my mother, we were having a conversation years ago, not now, we unable to have this type of conversation right now. It's a little bit special, but it's very different. One of the things that she used to say when they first present Diana to the world, at least, well, for many people didn't really quickly realize that Diana was from an aristocrat family. She was just a teacher, as sort of, that's how they present her, as like a common person. But even when people find out who she is and everything that is Diana, there is this innocent girl. There is something that was just special about her, and she retained that special. Like it's almost like you can overlook at everything. And if you looked at for everything that she has done, the wisdom, everything that God had given her to actually do on this planet for her short time, and her herself knowingly that time may not be long for her, because she said it in one interview and people probably not taking her seriously, but look what happened. And I just felt like when I watch Harry and our Duchess, both of them, there is something that I cannot describe what it is. Because you want to look at those two people, they just human beings, just try to live their lives. And we just find ourselves somehow being a part of it. But I think there's something about them that is much more. And it's worth studying and looking and really realizing that, you know what, there is things God put together, and you cannot, there's nothing that you can do to take that away, to break that. And that's why almost what everything that she touches and everything that they do turn to gold. There is a reason why people, from kids, adult, whatever age that you are, once you're around them, you are being captivating. You feel like you know them, or you want to know them, or you're part of their life. And they leave you thinking about yourself, which is probably why many of us find ourselves doing this work. And people coming again and again and again, defending them, sort of supporting them. There is something that they leave us or make us feel or remind us, whether it's what true love is or need to be, to how we see our lives. So I'm going to let you take it from there, because I have to check on my mother.
Well, that brings us to the third journal.
Well, before you do that, actually, we should say thank you
yes, we should.
to Coralita Simon.
Thank you, Corley. Thank you so much for the super sticker.
Oh, thank you.
But yes, the third journal is, again, following the vein of wisdom and how that comes to life, but now at the very most practical end. So it's titled Practical Wisdom and Business Ethics. It's actually the presidential address to the Society for Business Ethics Atlanta in August 2006 by Dennis J. Moberg, and it's published by the Cambridge University Press. And the abstract is actually interesting, and then after the abstract I'll get into the intro, but the abstract itself is just fascinating. So what he writes is that practical wisdom has received scant attention in business ethics. Defined as a disposition toward cleverness in crafting morally excellent responses to or in anticipation of challenging particularities, practical wisdom has 4 psychological components: knowledge, emotion, thinking, and motivation. Again, that idea of the relationship between wisdom and knowledge. It is that application of it. And in here, they say combining it with emotion, thinking, and motivation. He goes on to say that people's experience, reflection, and inspiration are theorized to determine their capacity for practical wisdom-related performance. So that's basically speaking to what he's going to go into in the overall journal. But then he says that enhanced by their abilities to engage in moral imagination, systems thinking, and ethical reframing, this capacity, this sort of practical wisdom, is realized in the form of enhanced performance. This can be manifested either in wise business decisions or through their performance as mentors, advice givers, or dispute handlers. So just in terms of how do you your everyday conduct in business, how you drive success, what it actually looks like, practically speaking, is so grounded in the wisdom that you have. And so he goes on to write, he says that people are naturally curious about wisdom. Philosophers love it, indigenous people revere it, seekers devote their lives to it, and old people savor it. Wisdom's allure is its elusive quality. One may never completely attain wisdom, although everyone has had the sheer experience of seeing wisdom in another person, if only for a moment. There is also an undeniably moral facet to wisdom. It appears in virtually every religious text ever written, and wisdom is among those special human qualities that serve both individual and collective good ends. Commercial affairs appear much too down to earth for such a lofty idea. The drudgery, competition, and time pressure so common in modern work life encourage foolishness, not wisdom. Yet, as Aristotle reminds us, wisdom has two faces, one concerned with understanding the profound truths of life, and the other with the practical judgments that all of us must make every day. And it is this practical side of wisdom that is so relevant to contemporary business. In fact, most modern companies accord special esteem to leaders by virtue of their practical, wisdom-related talents and experience and good judgment. Over the past 15 years, I've become fascinated with the topic of wisdom, more particularly with practical wisdom as a key to understanding ethical behavior in business. I have found myself writing on the outskirts of the subject, grappling with topics like moral imagination, mentoring, and advice giving, and with the general question of why otherwise clever business people do foolish, i.e. unwise, things. Unfortunately, the amount of work in the area remains thin. So it's interesting because it's an area of study that is not yet fully explored. But when you look at what he has written here, how he's described things, and you look at the Meghan effect, you look at Meghan's business decisions, you look at both of their business decisions, you see that moral imagination, you see that ability to apply wisdom and moral judgment to business affairs, the practical application of what it means to be wise.
When we first starting the show earlier today, and one of the things that I say to you guys that, I feel like there is something that is happening in the Sussex Squads, the content creators, and it's almost like they went up a notch, and the way they do their work and what they're doing and what they're doing it for, it's very clear now. But when you look at the wisdom of the people and the Sussex Squad and the supporters of the Sussex Squad and as well as the Duchess, and you see these people, you're learning about them, or in the work that they do, and to see how they put it together and actually make it work to a point where I don't know any group like this that was so positive and stay positive for so long and unable in some way what feels like you can what's the word?
Infiltrate?
Yes, you cannot do that. And the wisdom that Tina and Michelle had to create something that, there's no leader. Everybody is doing their own thing, and trust on that and how that manifests itself, because you cannot just, God forbid, something happen and blame it on the leader of the squad, so to speak, whoever that person is, even though they're the one that, who started it up. And see where we are right now, and see the work that, what we are doing and the effects of it. And even again, I say that, I don't think, while Sussex and many of these other, content creators, like there is something different about them, because I'm trying to analyze how the heck in the world this man, sort of, even if that's the only thing that he does, in which I don't think that's the only thing that he does. He has a full life, he has family, he has, niece and nephew and all that. And yet every single day, he is so on point. How he explains things to you, how he shows things, and how he put his content together. And it's almost like, as I said again, some, even like, listening to Claire Kent earlier and other, sort of content creator, Fax and Tucson or Ivy, or, I could go on and on, market, sort of and I and all these folks that who does this. And in a way that, you feel like you're just watching, you're part of a story, a bigger story. And this is what Harry and Meghan not just inspired, but you feel like you're part of their story. And we really are a part of their story. And in the wisdom to understand, to keep, God give us, whoever it is that give us that understanding to carry ourselves, to comport ourselves and support one another, in spite of that we don't know, we don't know each other. And then carry the work, doing the work, and the effect of it, it goes far and beyond. I'm telling you, this moment, in spite of the darkness and everything that's going, there is something, the new historians that's going to come alive with that. That's probably the first thing that they're going to start writing about. Because each moment in history, something stands out. From the dark ages to everything else that we have read and everything, there's always one story that's feel different, and you want to know more. You want to sort of study more, and you just want to attach it, like you're captivating by it. And to me, the story of Harry and Meghan, starting from Diana to the Sussex Squads, it's something. There is something special. There is something more there. There's something spiritual about this. There is something different. There is something different. And I feel it each time that I looked at what did it, you try to find where is the interest? What causing me to actually really right now caring for my mother is being sick. And I cherish every moment with her, but yet that feel compelled to come here, spite of all my difficulty, spite of the fact is that, I have to really careful on what I said, because what I said can impact people I know, people that, who knows me, or sort of me myself, to you guys that who take a chance and on me, to Royal Sussex that again I will never forget. I probably one of the best Valentine I ever have, that sort of that moment that I was with my mother, and then just just a 2:00 nap or 3:00, can't remember what the time was, and just to wake up and to oh, him doing sort of almost like, come on guys, they almost there, come on, let's go. They tweet away the phone, because for a very long time that we had this show, doing this show, and we started for us, we thought if we have 100, we have arrived. We were a star. And when we do have 300, which we thought that was a plateau, sort of, it was great. And it was just, okay, can we retain these people? Whatever the case is, knowing that, what, people can barely understand what the heck I'm saying. To, the first person that I have recognized was Church and our leader to show up. And I'm like, what? How the heck she even knows that we are on? Do you understand what I mean? And it was this thing that happened, and then all of a sudden that sort of we have 1,000, and I didn't even know once you have 1,000 subscribers, then you can post, you can do those what you call it, that we able to post,
community
page, and all that I actually learned from Wild Sussex. So you see what I'm saying? And I mean, I know, sort of most people probably looked at it, well, you what, not even 4,000. So for me, it's kind of like almost, you might as well say that, what, we have 100,000. So because that I never expecting, sort of we will even get to even 500. 300 was the ceiling for me, and I was comfortable with that. And to now have like 3,000 plus subscriber for most people, and probably think, sort of, oh my God, your channel is not growing. And I looked at it as, in some ways, that what, God will do what God wants to do. And I do understand that, the nature of our show, it's not one probably that's, so appealing, especially when you put church in front of everything, anything these days, people have reason to, tune out. They feel skeptical and they feel certain kind of way about that, sort of, who are these, sort of folks that, try to use God, whatever, or they try to make money. Like there's so much, because we have seen so many, things that happen, in the name of God and in churches and all that. So I get it. So, so that's why I've never expecting, once I make that decision, what makes me compelled to do that, my expectation was never to even, come close to 1,000. So this idea that, we are now 3,500, 400, whatever that is that, we have. And of course, I'm not saying I don't want more or can have more, love to if it happened, but I feel like I've reached what I did not expect. And I get to be someone that, I thought that was hidden, that I would never be, being in a microphone, speaking, and be my true self. And sometimes I have to be really worried because I could carry it away and just start saying a little bit too much. You know what I'm saying? Because the comfort that I feel there is almost like a freedom, that comes where I want to talk. I want to sort of be a part of whatever that is that I'm feeling, that feels so special, that I'm experiencing. And this is what those two people, Harry and Meghan, brings.
That's truth. And speaking of the whole not expecting to have that type of subscriber base, people listening in, and to even be here at this moment, although there was a whole break in the middle, but
yes, we
just got from Avid Reader,
yes,
a super sticker. Thank you for the super sticker, but saying congratulations on your 100 videos.
What?
Because we have 99 on the channel right now, so this must actually be, once this completes, maybe this will be.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So we just.
That's hilarious that none of us knew.
Oh my God!
None of us realized that.
And that's the thing is, and this is why sometimes people say, well, you know what? Why they not say subscribe and share? Because I literally don't even think about, because it's almost like I feel like I'm meeting my friends and we're going to talk, we're going to have a conversation. There is a feeling that I get, whether it's listening to Sussex, to listen to Claire Kent, listen to any of the content creators that's out there, and come here and feel almost at home, sort of being with, these folks and having conversation. And I completely forgot that, oh, maybe you should say subscribe and share. It does not enter my mind. You know what I mean? And to even take it further than that, to see people either buying stickers and what's the name of stickers? Right?
Super stickers. Yeah.
Super stickers to sort of support our channel and everything. Again, it's never truly really entered my mind that was something is even possible. You understand what I'm saying? And to see it happen, I still don't know how to dissect that yet. It just feel like there is something magical. And to have that experience, to feel this, and it makes you truly understand the power that God, put on those two people, that in so many ways, in small ways, which probably one day people will look at big ways, literally changing the world. Changing the world. And it's facing hate right on. because these people are dealing with something that, you know what, they thought that was going to be easy. The media thought it was going to be easy. Or the royals probably thought it was going to be easy to dismiss this woman, to throw her away or do any kind of thing with them. I don't know, but it just felt like they've been at this for so long. And I think what's clear to me, it probably the first time they encounter someone they don't know what to do with. And it's not like she have the power that exists in the world, but what she have, it's very clear that she is being covered by the Spirit of God through her goods, because God is good, God is light. And there is something that, you know, it's almost, I feel like she allowed God to work through her in a way that is incredible. And you see that with Harry. I'm telling you, maybe people will think I'm crazy today, but 10 years later, they'll say, there was this woman, you know, sort of, you know, barely can put two words together, had to say something that stick with me, and we should look into that.
Those are not mutually exclusive, by the way. You can
Right.
also, you can be right and also crazy.
Well, if you ask my mother and the rest of my family, yes, probably yes, you're right about that. Because when I'm passionate, when I am, you know, getting into things,
That should be a word.
Yes.
You gotta pick that as a word for a future service. You
What
gotta
is
find when the right time is to do that crazy.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Okay. Okay. So come on, go ahead.
No, I mean that concludes the three journals. So we went from very philosophical to business applications, and you can see.
But you know, so obviously, what I would like to do, it's giving a glimpse of the opposite of knowledge is foolishness, right? That's what you said.
Yeah.
And so to see what these folks who should be knowledgeable about, you know, why our Duchess make the decision that she make. And she's been very truthful and she's been very honest about her brand. Let's listen to the Duchess first.
So not the foolishness first. First the wisdom.
Well, we're going to listen to her Duchess and then we're going to show people how foolishness actually really worked. Go ahead.
It's recording.
Okay. Cat's out of the bag. I'm shocked we've kept this a secret for so long. In 2 weeks, my show's coming out, which I'm so excited for. And also my business, which I think there's been a lot of curiosity about. Last year, I had thought, you know what, American Riviera, that sounds like such a great name. It's my neighborhood. It's a nickname for Santa Barbara. But it limited me to things that were just manufactured and grown in this area. Then Netflix came on, not just as my partner in the show, but as my partner in my business, which was huge. So I thought about it, and I've been waiting for a moment to share a name that I had secured in 2022, and this is the moment. And it's called As Ever. As Ever essentially means as it's always been. And if you followed me since 2014 with the TIG, you know I've always loved cooking and crafting and gardening. This is what I do, and I haven't been able to share it with you in the same way for the past few years, but now I can. So as things are starting to trickle out there, I wanted you to hear it from me first. Of course, there will be fruit preserves. I think we're all clear at this point that jam is my jam. But there's so many more products that I just love that I use in my home, and now it's time to share it with you. So I can't wait for you to see it. Thanks, guys.
What make it so important to actually listen? Because every time you listen to this, you will hear something that you did. I mean, listen to what she said. She said that, you know what? It wasn't like, you know what? Oh, Nevis Netflix want to be a partner, and like, yeah, and be a partner. She's like, I thought about it just to see if it was for her. And I'm sure many people would have been like, where do you want me to sign? She said, I thought about it. And she also just the name, the beauty of the name, and the understanding that, you know what, yes, I had this name that I chose earlier that I'd present to the world, but realizing that, you know what, I wanted it to be bigger. I wanted it to sort of, extended it to different things, and the limit of it, and the fact that, she chose to bring it when she feel like she was ready. She was not forced to do it. She do it when she was ready to do it, to presenting to us. And to see everything that she said, it's very quickly easy to check. If anybody had care to check on anything that, she said when it comes to sort of, people change their brand all the time. They change, sort of, what's the name they usually call?
Trademark?
Not so much trademark, but pretty much this is something that happened very frequently, right in the mix of, sort of putting something together, and then you could realize and said, oh, this can be bigger, or this needed to be changed. This is something people know, especially if you work in the media. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure the Royals themselves knows that. And to see the foolishness that come out and what people were saying, and I just could not understand it. And I think we need to, the fact is that, people are sort of talking about the brand, and it was just too much for me. I think I'm going to play someone that will describe this in a much better that I can describe it, because all you can see is foolishness. Come on, let's play.
So next up is Amanda.
Yes, let's play Amanda. Okay. Because I think she described something that everyone should know, and we should not have been even spending our time explain to people, but obviously we do. So let's play.
And I got to pick the brain of the fabulous Reb Maisel. She said something about the American Riviera trademark debacle, which got my wheels spinning, and everything just clicked into place. Because what we were talking about was Reb's actual background in trademark law, something that I'm sure people writing headlines, Meghan Markle denied her trademark, cannot say that they have. She was just basically telling us, it happens all the time. This is very common. And with ARO specifically, setting aside the fact that the actual rejection that Meghan got was more like a delay in the process and, hey, more information needed, thanks so much, which would have been submitted via form letter from the US Patent and Trademark Office. But more to the topic of American Riviera Orchard itself as a trademark and why that wouldn't have worked. The geographic nature of the name is what we came back to. American Riviera does refer to Santa Barbara, and an orchard is a very common designator of a geographic space. So putting that all together and trying to trademark it could be problematic. Any orchard, any place growing fruit in Santa Barbara could be an American Riviera orchard. Problem, but not an insurmountable one if Meghan really wanted to go down the road of using. It does sort of limit her if you are designating your brand as American Riviera Orchard to things that are grown in Santa Barbara, which she said in her video. The answer was there all along. She said she felt limited to products that could be sourced from that area. To me, that sounds a lot like, okay, her trademark application wasn't rejected or denied, but these problems were brought up that maybe hadn't been fully considered before she and her team reached that point in the process. In the process, she decided to pivot and go back to something which she had already secured the trademark for as ever, which once again, she is pivoting based on this setback and turning it into a strategy. This makes so much more sense. It really helps to talk to actual people versed in trademark law. Meghan Markle's critics, more often than not, have no idea what they're talking about, just giving away the fact that they themselves have never done anything remotely interesting in their life that would warrant dealing with that entity.
And again, I've been following this girl. I think she's wonderful. She's so, again, somebody who's feel like, she's a world of knowledge also as well too. I don't know if she's like, a journalist at one point in her life. I don't know. She tells story really, really, really well. Lately, I've seen them, her and Meredith work together, which is wonderful to see. But again, what she's doing, it's something any other media that who choose to report and talk about what happened to, they could have done that. I mean, I understand the salacious, sort of headlines, but, really, you guys could not bring someone to actually giving a different side of the article that you guys wrote, or sort of to speak on the fact that it's something very common, and in fact is genius, the fact that she realized that hey, yes, that's going to limit me. And she does, if anything that we learn about our Duchess, she doesn't put no limit on herself, and so that's very clear. That's stay on trend. And so then they try to make a big deal about the logo, because it resemble, sort of, sort of, I believe, like, it's an island, or sort of, I don't know, have very similar sort of, logo and everything. And they were trying to make a big deal. And I'm like, I don't even know what to say about this, because, it's something so you feel like people should know that. And I think Royal Sussex, last week did a great job. Like, he was going over so many brands that who have very similar, like almost sometimes feel like almost exact. You know what I mean? And it was, I didn't even realize that. How close many of those sort of logos are in everything, in names, in different things, and whatever the case is. It's just, it's part of people's life. If you have business, if you're in, like, you should know this. Why don't you know that? And I feel like I didn't know how to say anything or speak about that, and probably leave it to people that who can better explain. So I'm going to put Meredith on. So let's play Meredith to explain.
Yes, and just before we play Meredith, we'll say a big thank you also to Connie and Julie, also for the super sticker. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
With Connie calling out that the squad flipped the script on their abuse playbook.
Oh, of course we did.
Exactly it.
Of course. It is something.
Breaking news, the quote-unquote controversy created in the media about a logo similarity between Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex's new brand As Ever and the coat of arms for a small Mallorcan town is nonsense. And it was created to drive a narrative about Meghan and her quote-unquote missteps that really doesn't exist, and demonstrates a pattern of taking dry, boring legal processes and making them sound nefarious. Yes, I know that anyone with any sort of critical thinking skills could have deduced that, but Matter of Fact and I had the opportunity to speak with an actual lawyer who is well versed in trademark law, and she also has a killer cat eye to boot. We spoke with Reb Maisel, and if you go over to Amanda's video after this, she got some tea on the ARO of it all. To be clear, Reb does not work with or for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. But this is a nothing burger, because there are so many logos and brands and coat of arms all throughout the world that there are going to be similarities. The issue that arises is if somebody could justifiably confuse the two brands, or if a brand is trying to come in with a similar name and do the exact same thing. As you can imagine, there are companies like Disney that have lawyers that are going through and looking at all of the trademarks that have come through and seeing what is close to Disney's, and then going to court over that. Even then, when it goes through this dry boring legal process, the judge will ask that there is some sort of alteration to the logo. And it happens all the time. It is not a news story, but I'm going to tell you what happened here. This logo controversy popped up in corners of the internet that peddle in hate. The media picked it up and ran with it, but not to use their resources to clarify or confirm or deny parts of this rumor. They did it so that they could reach out to this mayor of the small American town who is now overwhelmed with media requests to ask her pointed questions that they could then take the quotes and create these articles to create the story like there's impending legal action and the mayor's furious when it's really not true. They created a story instead of reporting on a story. You know what any reporter should have done? I don't care. I'm holding all outlets to the same standard. Some of these tabloids are in the Royal Rota, so someone thinks that they're important enough. But yeah, you could have asked a trademark expert about this. Problem is, that might not have allowed you to write this kind of story. We saw this happen last year when Archwell was deemed delinquent as per a legal notice, and it was reported on like the state of California reached out and shamed them personally, not like a standard automatic form that was cleared up because it was a clerical error. So papers took what is a standard process and turned it into something nefarious, turned it into something to show a larger story, a pattern of behavior about Harry and Meghan that simply doesn't exist. I'm here for thoughtful analysis and constructive criticism, but what the media is doing here is finding standard, everyday legal processes and turning them into some kind of proof of Meghan and Harry's missteps, of their bumbles, their errors, their arrogance. And people fall for this crap, this trend of absconding responsibility for things printed on the internet by reprinting them and giving credit to what is on the internet without any sort of thoughtful research or engagement or follow-up is not journalism, and it's a disservice to everyone involved. As I said at the top, Amanda and I had Reb Maisel on our podcast Off With Their Headlines. New episodes drop each week. That episode will be out next week. And also go over to Amanda's page and watch her video with the tea on the ARO trademark dispute.
And again, this is sort of, make it make sense. And, I wanted to show a contrast of something. In order for me to show that contrast, I'm going to need you, George, to read the part where it gets to explain, acknowledge, the part in knowledge that's stating that, the opposite side. It's, right before that, to get to that point, I want to sort of make you guys notice something.
Well, it says wisdom is like love, intelligence, decency, and justice, in that it is a good thing to have, and the more a person has of it, the better they are. The opposite of wisdom is foolishness, universally recognized to be a defect.
Exactly. And so I wish I had start with the foolishness first. But what we were talking about is wisdom. And as I was talking about wisdom, I could feel there is something loving, or having a conversation with my friends that feel that is about love, that is about care, and we sort of talking to each other on what is really important. There is a good feeling come to that. The moment that I start talking about the foolishness, there's this heavy, this weight, this darkness, this sort of almost another force that tried to push you in a place where you want to say something that's probably you don't want to say, that's not you. It's the way it's almost like what some people call the way the devil work, that dark feeling, put you in that darkness because things are so not making sense and so ridiculous, and you see the hate. It's almost even it's challenging. It is challenging the dark side, maybe perhaps all of us have exist in us. And that was either sort of, we work very hard to either suppress, or we choose to put God at all time in front, and we try to keep that spirit and the love of God at all time in front to a lot of us. So I wanted to show that contrast of the two subject, when we start speaking about wisdom, the feelings that come to it, what's been projected, how I speak about it, and to the moment that I start talking about the nonsense, the other side of knowledge, which is foolishness, what actually come out of it, that's heavy feelings. Am I making sense, or I'm not, or am I
Yeah, it's
just
definitely
sort of
you
like
definitely have a different.
completely losing?
And it's
one?
honestly, it's one of those things that is, it's like subtle and subconscious enough to not notice it if you're not focusing on it or not looking for it, but it is real. The energy that you get from focusing on good things, on loving things, on wise things, how that impacts all of your life, how you spend your day, just how you even go about your work, what you're doing, spend time with your family, all of it is impacted by that type of energy. And the inverse is also true. If it is on a place of foolishness, or if it is a place of hate, if it's a place of fear, whatever the negative corollary is, that also has the same sort of implications in terms of your energy throughout the day, how you feel about things, like you just said, the weight that you're feeling. So it's definitely a real thing.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that but again, the contrast of what is happening in the royal family right now, I don't know if it's just me. I just feel like something it's starting standing out in a very different way. And maybe perhaps it's what the medias are now pointing about, Harry's brother, what's his name again?
William.
And 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 even the story of Charles now, who supposedly King Charles is inviting people. I don't think I'm getting this right, but allegedly inviting people that who cannot pay their light, the heat, and that if they wanted to be warm, to come in to sort of for I don't know what, for a cup of tea or something, sort of for a day. I am not so sure. It's like I feel like I don't really quite get what this. Let's play this because I saw it in Well Sussex. I'm like, there's a lie somewhere here. There's that does not make any sense. There is absolutely no way that is possible. It does not feel real on what is reporting. Can you play Well Sussex for me, please? And please.
Now, King Charles has invited people who are lonely or struggling to heat their homes to one of his many houses for the afternoon instead of PR events for the cameras. How about the king pays the taxes everybody else has to pay? In other words, his businesses are exempt from corporation tax. What is that all about? And by the way, the guy with the beard, I wouldn't be surprised if William doesn't try to hire him. You know how William loves beards. William has never seen a beard he didn't like. So I was going to play this soundbite for you guys. That's what I was doing.
So much for joining us. Fabulous to see you there at Highgrove as well. A lot of us we can only dream of going into Highgrove and having a look around, let alone being invited in. For those that are vulnerable, just tell us exactly about the project and who can benefit from it.
Thank you, and you're always welcome to come and join us. Like you heard in the piece, this is all about us opening the space here, sort of without really any questions asked. It's just a nice, comfortable afternoon to come and join us as one of our guests. And what we're hoping to do through that is offer a helping hand to people, whether it's because they're feeling lonely and they want to find someone to talk to, whether it's because they're struggling to heat their home, or whether because they might want to come and join us to be the person, to be that helping hand at the table with someone else. Like I said, it's just a no questions asked, open up, come and enjoy our hospitality, and hopefully some good coming out of that at the end of the day.
Constantine, thank you so much for joining us. Fabulous to see you there at Highgrove as well. A lot of us, we just kind of dream of going into Highgrove.
All right. So I guess his name is Constantine. Constantine is letting the public know that you can come to Highgrove and warm up. Anybody who's struggling with their heat, you're struggling to pay your heat, your gas or oil or whatever heat you have, you can come to Highgrove and just hang out. That is a way to keep warm and look at Charles' house and see the little watercolors and such. Yeah, they have a cafe there, I think, right? Do they have a cafe for visitors? Well, I hear that the gardens at Highgrove are amazing. But isn't that nice?
Again, I'm whoever thinks this is the way to confront a situation like this that people experience, whether it's loneliness, as they say, or other issues or sort of problem or not being able to hit that, I'm going to invite you in what the richest, what feels like the rich place, somehow just to come and hang out for a few hours. I don't know, because they didn't say, are they going there to stay, or they going to lunch them, or so an afternoon. And so with all those priceless or those wonderful, all those is it a place supposed to be inspired by that sort of, to make you feel even ashamed of your situation? Maybe you can get better. What is it? And then what I don't understand is this idea that, with no question asked, what does that mean? What does that even mean? It seems like they are offering to, if you're lonely, if you want to talk, if you this, but no question. Like, I'm not really getting, how is that one right? Sort of, there is many things. Again, I much rather and prefer talk about, Harry and Meghan and the wonderful work that they're doing, and talk with the Sussex Squad. I'm not so experienced in everything Charles or, Harry's brother or anything like that. I really, there's nothing there for me. I don't know how to have that conversation.
All I know is,
so to speak. I leave it to people who does not only a better job, that cannot, articulate things a lot better than I can. But it's almost, I feel like there was something about this that feel like, how is that make King Charles look good? Like, it's almost like I feel like someone, it's against Prince Charles. This idea that you could come in and say, come for an afternoon to warm up, and then after that you go back to the call. Are they gonna sort of bring these people in buses? How is that going to be possible? That, it just doesn't not make any sense to me, and it's not my business. It's somewhat really my business, because the truth of the matter is that, I have so many families that who, who are, it's the king, they are subjects. You understand what I mean? And so I guess I feel compelled to actually talk about that. But I also think because it's national, because they make it into news, they reporting that, I don't really understand. I feel like I'm still waiting for King Charles to show up and try to listen to his very early interviews and listening to him. And the only thing I've ever heard about, King Charles, he's a very well-read guy. He's a very hardworking guy that worked, to the hours, and he's very knowledgeable, so to speak. All these things that he is, something is not making sense to me that a strategy like this, with everything else that I feel like that they can do, how is that going to help him look into the public, or even make even I mean for them, let's not even think about them, about the people that is gonna go there and realize, oh, now I have to go. I had just had like a nice meal, maybe if they give them food and good water and warm up and probably sit on in chairs that that's if of course they don't put a tent, they actually welcome them into the house, that they're sitting on really nice chairs and whatever the reception, and I'm sure it will be beautiful, it'll be wonderful. But then they go back to what? How could that make you feel good? And so to me is, I like to believe those are folks that, who pay good money for PR, who pay good money for sort of, those folks that, who I guess they call them, what's they call them again? There's a name for them, the men with the yellow or the gray, what's the name?
Men with the yellow and the gray?
The gray suits, the men in the gray suits. They have a name for them.
Oh.
No.
So, what?
Not sure. The men with the gray suits?
The men with
That's
the
the
gray
name,
suit. That
right?
was the that's the we had to give them that name. Sort of. But the point is, what I am saying is that you if you're advising the king, and you say to the king, do this, and that's going to make you look good. And I'm sure it's probably coming on the verge of everything that is incredible that is happening with Harry and Meghan, and they want something they can report on. They can put out there that people will be report on. And there is a million things that they can do. Because again, what I'm saying is earlier, I'm waiting for that King Charles, Prince of Wales, when he was Prince of Wales, his very early age, and some really very smart interviews, and the way he articulated himself. And at times, it feels like he was going to be very different. That was before Diana, before all that. Like, it feel like he had a story, and there was an understanding about him. And I don't know how that can be the same person. What happened?
Well,
how is that possible?
I also think it's very interesting is that, throughout all of their, I mean, at the end of the day, the firm is a business. And so they've always had people manage them. And I think the earlier part, that's what he was doing.
Well, then that's what makes it even more difficult, because if the firm, we call it's a business, and the last 5 years, in my opinion, there is a sense of feeling that they are in the losing end, so to speak, when it comes to PR. How or when and who is going to step up and said, we got to change course? Or is there something that, that is too, we're not smart enough to understand? Or that's probably in front of us that we cannot see? Maybe they are the smart one. Maybe they know something that we don't know. Because I don't really get it as a business. We all make mistakes. We all do things that, we regret, and we all very often feel like, we could have done things very different, and we try to learn from it. But since Harry and Meghan, our duchess, our prince and princess, have left 5 years ago, okay, I get it. They had a strategy, and the strategy is that, somehow they were going to crawl back in. And so that was their strategy, and we were going to do everything and to make sure that, they were going to come back, if that's their belief, if that was the strategy, allegedly. But it did not work. And it then seems like, they changed course. I mean, it seems like they stepped their foot on the gas for even more. And now we find ourselves where we are. and things is still not changing.
It's funny, the business example in terms of describing the firm as a business. If you take that lens, just speaking in hypotheticals about businesses, and you get to that perspective where there are cases where you look at businesses that are deliberately doing poorly. They're deliberately like going against growth strategically. There's a reason.
Which is something happened, I believe, that happened on Broadway. That's why the producer.
There's a lot of stories.
Yeah.
There's lots of stories about it. And whether or not it's like you're shorting the stock, which that's a whole other thing where you actually have legal ramifications for how that can be done based on what you know or don't know. There can be the goal of some other firm saying, oh, I can if something is not doing well, it's easier to acquire it because the valuation goes down, and so I can take that on. I can own that. And so if you do extend that business analogy in terms of the description of the firm, it does lead you to interesting questions when you expand that idea of why. How do you explain what seems to be like this video, this story specifically? It is very hard to find some rational justification of who could have possibly thought that it was a good idea to say that people who are having a hard time heating their homes could come inside for an afternoon. That's going to make King Charles look good.
But even in that,
in no world.
That's right. Even in that story, it didn't even feel clear to me. So it's very even hard, at least for me. I don't want to report on something that I don't feel like that I'm 100% understand, or even that's clear to me. I feel there was something missing. I feel like there was something that, I'm not sure what I'm saying. That's what exactly that he's saying. It's almost like I'm not,
it's like,
I'm not
that's a crazy
sure.
thing.
Do you understand what I'm saying? It's just something is not clear. And again, if we to believe and looked at this as a business, so that kind of what felt like a loss to a business that seems to costing them a big deal, if it is, I don't know that for sure, that you would think that, they will change course. And it doesn't feel that way. So that's why I'm saying they must know something that we don't. Of course, there's no way we will know. They must see something that we're unable to see. There must be a much bigger plan that we will never be able to understand until it happened. But something is not right. For all the power that existed and that's been given to the king and to the, sort of, I'm sure everything must pass through him before sort of, anything is being putting out there. Like there's something, it just doesn't feel right, and I don't understand it. And I think I better leave it like there because I don't know. I don't know. I just leave it there, and I think I should move on.
Having reader says you're on point, Lady Sussex. So.
Yes. So what is our next place where we need to go? I think we have one more video left, right? 2. And the one, I swear, I'm just kind of like.
It's another one about things not looking
That's
good.
right. Again, there's another story that, when it comes to, Harry's brother, what's his name again? William. And with his wife, who are now vacationing. Not there's anything wrong going to vacations and things like that or whatever. But the question is it the right time for such an expensive vacation?
Well, also who's paying for it? That's a valid question.
And also, even more so, it's appeared to be allegedly that they forego, the award show which he is president of, or sort of, and he did not attend, and to be like again, who is advising these people and said this is the right thing to do, especially when you have someone such as Harry and Meghan in the world stage doing those incredible things that they are doing. So it just, again, I feel like this is the Twilight Zone. Something is not right. But they either right, we wrong, or we wrong, they're right. Because I don't understand how is that even possible for something like that to happen. So let's play the next clip.
Families struggle to heat their homes while Wales' 33,000 pound a week Mystique Villa boasts a 60-foot pool. Meanwhile, Prince George, Charlotte, and Louis enjoy Caribbean winter break. Royalty's sense of entitlement knows no bounds. Now, of course, we're going to have to chime in with morning, Martin. Martin, let's see.
Morning, friends. Happy Saturday. And the relationship between digital media and the traditional press and Kate and William and the rest of the non-working royal family is changing quickly in the UK. And hats off to the journalists at Hello Magazine who had the kahunas to print the truth surrounding the real cost of this villa in Mystique that these two lazy scroungers are holidaying in with their children, and also just how luxurious it is in terms of the facilities. This holiday, not sure whether they needed it, but this holiday for Kate and William is going to cost the British taxpayer hundreds of thousands of pounds. By the time you include private flight security, all the rest of the shenanigans, literally hundreds of thousands of pounds. And that money could be used for much better things. As we've discussed on this channel, we have literally 3 million people in the UK suffering with cancer. We have tens of millions of children that live below the poverty line. It's time for change in 2025 and 2026. This kind of expense on people who do not work to repay their country is not a good thing for you or me or any other human in a civilized world. As ever, comments are open, guys. Let me know what you think.
And again, I don't really hear talking about those folks, to be honest. And again, rich people we do what rich people do. They go to a nice vacation if you can afford it. I'm, good on you. I'm sure if I was able to have vacation like that and have like a 60-foot pool too, I'll probably do it. I'm not going to criticizing people for what they choose to do with their money. But this is the taxpayers' money. And those are the same people that will sit down and criticizing Harry and Meghan and telling us all the time how many bathrooms that they have, how much they pay for their house, or how much the clothes that, Meghan was wearing, which she paid and bought for herself. They're not free, they didn't give it to her. Of course, she could afford it. She buy it and she should. Who doesn't? There is people that cannot afford labels, still buy labels because it's a part of many of our culture where it presented to us. That is the way to be. If you want to enter certain royal society, you have to make that kind of investment in your clothes, in the car you drive, in the house that you live, and everything to even be considered or be noticed or being even talked about. So, and you work hard. So, and that's for people that who cannot even actually really afford it. And I'm sure Harry and Meghan can afford to do that. And so that is their money. They could do whatever they please. And they still find ways to constantly telling us, about how much what they she's wearing or sort of their home, which is, to be honest, if you think about where they live, well, it's an incredible neighborhood. You could just say that they're very smart. Their home is pretty a cheap home because they got a good deal on it. And you contrast that to where some of the royals they live. Come on. And so now you have this sort of vacation. Again, if you can do it, just do it. But at this moment right now, with what's happening, in England, with people not able, you just hear the king is inviting people in to come and spend a couple hours because they can't they have either issues, problems, or whatever, or cannot heat their home, to just come for a few minutes. And then here you are in this one place vacationing and crossing the very people that cannot pay, that money is coming from them. And it's almost make me feel like, and now that I am saying this, it's King Charles, it's playing with, what's his name? William, right? What?
William,
am I right? I wonder is there's a game, because Charles, it's showing that, you know what, okay, I'm going to invite these people into our home to warm up, and then contrast that with you that was in vacation and spending all that money, because it seems like there's an inner fight between the two households. I wonder if that's where that come from. For whatever reason, all of a sudden that seems like to be making sense to me. It seems like it's a much more a fight between the two courts. And Charles tried to prove a point to get to William, maybe perhaps something that he should have been doing or didn't do or didn't listen, or something's going on. And by him inviting these folks and to Highgrove, give them food in sort of, to a heating place, while his son, Prince of Wales, is vacationing in a very expensive thing. Am I up something? I don't know, alleged. Like, am I up to something? Sussex Squad, please talk to me. Because that is the only way that it makes sense that King Charles and his people will come and put something out there like that. Is there a fight between the two courts, and King Charles tried to make his son look bad? Am I up to something? I would love to see, and please, well, Sussex, if you are listening, I hope you all listen. I know you will do a better job on that and explain to people. Maybe take on what I said and make something with it, because I think you will kill it. Because, like, I feel like as I'm talking about it, it's becoming very clear, because both stories seem to come out at the same time. It seems like there is a court fight much more than what's meant to be for us, so to speak. And the fact that they are reporting on them having that vacation, which the world holders, they normally known to support them and not try to throw them under the bus like that. And both stories, the contrast of the two, one is inviting people in, the other one is having vacation. Am I really losing my mind?
All I know is
I
that
too much into this?
If it is the truth, then it's no surprise that Harry wanted to leave. That's all I gotta say. Can't tell for sure if it's one way or the other.
But we want to spend time hating on someone that all she wants to do is live her life. And I think I was listening again. I think it was Claire, and this lady come on, and she said everything that I wanted to say and to put on, knowing everything that is happening right now, and you want to put your focus on hating Meghan, sort of our Duchess, our princess, sort of, you must answer this question. Let's play our last clip.
To add to this, if you are somebody who is mean to Meghan Markle, I automatically think less of your ability to consume media critically, because there is not a single thing that she has done, a verifiable thing that she has done, to warrant the vitriol and hatred that she has received. And if you think there is, then that means that you fell for the English monarchy and British press's calculated campaign to make you hate her. Okay, Sandy, I'll bite. What did Meghan say about Harry's family? Give me a direct quote where Meghan Markle disrespected the royal family. I will wait and wait and wait, because the quote doesn't exist. In fact, Prince Harry himself has said more condemning things about his family than Meghan Markle ever has. She has been literally The picture of grace and poise in the face of blatant racism, disrespect, and cruelty at that family's hands. And I promise you, she has so much on that family that she has chosen to withhold out of respect for her husband, her children, and the late queen, who she had the utmost respect for. So please do share all those words that came out of Meghan Markle's mouth. I am dying to hear them. Once again, Susan, I'm asking you for specific examples. For those of you who are new to this conversation, because it's a different one from the one I've been having, this woman claims that Meghan Markle clearly expects adoration from the masses. And I asked, can you give me an example or some proof that Meghan Markle expects adoration? And she has yet to answer the question. Every video of her, that's specific, pushing herself to the front. When? Where? Getting other women out of the way. What women are you talking about? Skeletal hands, have you seen this woman? She is perfect. She is gorgeous. She is beautiful. You can criticize her for maybe not knowing enough about the institution that she was marrying into, but my God, coming after her appearance just makes you look dumb. And she wanted to touch her husband? Affection in the royal family? Can't have that now, can we? And I am so tired of this baseless claim that Harry and Meghan asked for their privacy. They asked people to respect privacy laws and sued and won when those laws were violated. But what they actually asked for when they approached the firm was to maintain their public roles. They wanted to continue as working royals, as half-working royals, and continue to work with the public in a public-facing way. All they've ever asked is that their private letters not be leaked, that people not send drones over their fence to look at their kids through the window, that their phones and emails not be hacked. Celebrities are still entitled to privacy, and I think a lot of you forget that. That's why there are laws specifically designed to protect the privacy rights of public figures. But Meghan and Harry never wanted to disappear from the public eye. They have never once said that they wanted to leave the public realm or stop being celebrities or stop being seen by the public. They just wanted to be seen on their terms because they were not being paid by taxpayers anymore to work for the people. And they've talked about this a lot, that once they were no longer being funded by taxpayers, they felt that they deserved a modicum of control over when they were viewed and perceived by the public. And not so much them, but their children. Lest you forget that on British TV, somebody literally said, we the taxpayers have a right to see Archie. The second somebody claims a right to view my child, I'm out. I'm out.
Again, I don't think I'm going to say anything else. I'm not going to even add on because I think she summarized very, very well and said everything that I would have said that I didn't say I could have said. You know what I mean? It's like, sometimes people just find the words, the right time and put it up together, which is something the Sussex Squad do really, really, really well, better than I would ever been able to do. So let's move to verse, please, Charles, because it's already been a much longer show than I expected.
You didn't give people a heads up that it was going to be a marathon. We're closing in on 3 hours.
Yeah. Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah.
You see, this is what happened when you put me and caffeine. Me and caffeine does not work together.
That is absolutely true.
Let's go.
All right. So for Bible verse, I actually, not to drag out the service, by the way, but I do have two short ones because I just thought that they fit very well. So the first is James chapter 3, verse 13. Who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done in humility that comes from wisdom, which I thought was quite fitting. And then the next is Colossians chapter 4, verses 5 and 6. Be wise in the way that you act towards outsiders. Make the most of every opportunity. Let your conversations always be full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone. And it just made me think of both Harry and Meghan.
Amen. Amen. Josh.
Thank you for another day above ground. Thank you for all of the many blessings. Thank you for giving us leaders, people like Harry and Meghan, who not only are an inspiration in terms of positivity and joy and love, but also are examples to follow when it comes to really living a wise life. Please give us each the ability to bring that wisdom in our own daily lives so that we may live better lives with good judgment, using that knowledge, combining it with the emotion, active thinking, and really a motivation to be our best selves. It's something that we each have control over, but it is a choice to make, and we ask for your strength to make it, especially in these challenging times. And as always, we pray for protection for the Sussexes and for the entire Sussex family, especially Mama Doria, and also as we come upon the very exciting release date for the new show.
Oh my God, I am so looking forward to it. My prayer this evening, it's one that because my mother is such a Catholic and grew up Catholic, and I grew up Catholic as well. And my mom, it's as I share with you guys before, I don't know how she ended up marrying and have as many children as she had because she should have been a nun because she spent all her life, almost pretty much her adult to at a convent, sort of. And she, when I mean, Catholic, I mean, she's embodied everything a Catholic is. And so to hear the news the past couple of days of the Pope Francis, who is not doing so well. And so I pray. I pray for him. I pray for really what I felt in his short run that he had brought in from his nomination. And, I just pray. I know he's in pain. They say he's in a lot of pain. That I pray that, what, he find some peace and some comfort. And I also want to pray for the world, really, for everything that is happening, for everything that is going on, specifically our country here in America. What for many people feels like we are sort of in a sort of dark place, so to speak, in a place that's challenging for most. And I pray that, what, we could come through this light and God, more loving, more trusting, more caring. And I very grateful and thankful to God for giving us Harry and Meghan in this moment to give us this little pleasure, this little light, this little whatever that is that that exists in them that makes us feel like for one moment, for a little time, that we can escape from our day to day, but yet accomplish so much and give so much to the world and be a part of a bigger picture, a bigger story we are not yet understand. So I pray. So may God bless you. Love win. Love always win. Take care of your mental health. It is so important, especially right this moment. What is going on does take its effect on many of us, whether it's impact or affects us directly or indirectly. Please take care of your mental health. Please check on each other. And remember, love is always the way. It's going to continue to be the way. And the word wisdom in which we use, it's one that, we confront very often in the most poetic places in the Bible and the old stories that change, that makes us feel some kind of way, but make us feel love. So I thank you for having us this evening, to be with us and listening to us for the last 3 hours. God bless you all. If God willing, we'll see you next week. And of course, we have Royal Sussex to be looking forward to this evening, and I can't wait. So good night. Love win. Take care. Bye-bye.